You know, there's a lot of abandoned games out there on the internet, and lately with my choice of old games combined with forgotten and even unknown titles covered on this YouTube channel, I feel like my channel is slowly becoming Foster's home for imaginary games. Which isn't a bad thing, really. One such forgotten game is today's topic. Today we are reviewing a game called Boreal Blade. Here's the good news, it goes on sale often and I snagged it at a 90% off sale. Bad news, you can't do anything by yourself, there's no single player. Friends are sold separately. And likely you'll need to buy extra copies of the game to send to friends if you want to play the game at all. As an alternate, you can always reach out on Reddit, Discord, or post in the Steam forums to find friends, but you'll basically be restarting the game community all by yourself. And I'm afraid there's not enough to Boreal Blade to actually keep a community going, even if you were successful. Boreal Blade is a team-based melee fighting game released on Steam in 2020 and released on the Switch in 2019. Boreal Blade was developed by the beloved indie developer Frozenbyte, known mostly for their Trine games. I wish there was something, anything to do by myself on this game. I could forgive it if I could just queue up with bots on easy, medium, and hard difficulties. You don't need to give me a whole story mode or campaign, just something. You can play the tutorial, which will explain the basic mechanics of Boreal Blade. And after that is finished, you can hang out in the training area to experiment with a few weapons on your invincible dummy friend Sven. Or maybe I'm supposed to be Sven. It wasn't very well explained at the start of the tutorial, so I hereby dub him Sven, so either way we're both Sven, and it works. Shut up, don't think about it. After you're done beating up Sven, kicking Sven out the door, and wishing you could kick Sven off a cliff, you're out of stuff to do. This is the point where you queue up for an online game, but every time I've loaded this game up, no one has been playing. Boreal Blade just doesn't have anything to keep a solo player interested. That's the problem with games that are built exclusively on the premise of online multiplayer. And it's such a shame because Boreal Blade looks good, controls well, and I liked it. But once the player base petered out, there's nothing left to keep anyone interested, and it doesn't have the longevity of some other games that we've covered on this channel, like Gmod, Half-Life, or even Delta Force 1. As I record this review, I've thought of a few different games where the player base has died out or moved on, like Star Wars Squadrons, but at least there was a single-player campaign to bring people back to it. You know what else I found myself thinking about while playing Boreal Blade? Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy from 2003. Remember that game? We covered it on the channel some time ago.
Aren't you excited? We're going to be Jedi!
The game with the most complex lightsaber fighting that we've seen so far. Once again, the problem is that that game had a whole single-player story, so you can still go back to play that game to do something. Even better, the multiplayer has bots. It's just such an oversight for Frozenbyte to not include anything to do, and I'm just genuinely disappointed. I hope if they ever go back to make changes to Boreal Blade, they'll add something for solo players to do instead of 5 minutes of tutorial and 10 minutes of making your own fun kicking Sven. Seeing as I have a total of like 7 whole rounds under my belt playing Boreal Blade, that makes me an expert now, right? No, definitely not. But I'll do my best to explain how to play based off of what I played around with. And yeah, I missed the bandwagon when this game was new and actually had a player base for a while. You adjust your weapon angle before attacking or defending against an attack. If you hold down the attack, you'll charge the attack up for more damage. You can move your weapon with a whole 360-degree circle in front of you to attack up and down, left and right, or varying degrees of diagonal. You block automatically by having your weapon or shield on the correct side, but if you press the focus block button, you'll recover some health with the block. We only played party game style free-for-all matches, but on teams, you'll need to be careful which direction and angle you attack from because you might accidentally hit your allies. So you can't just jump into a match and button mash attack mindlessly. You need to plan your attacks and defenses and pick your trajectories carefully. But free-for-alls are great. Just jump in and start swinging. There's currently 8 maps to play on with different terrain, obstacles, and theming. You can play 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, and free-for-all. The idea behind combat is you're arguing over something, like how should hands be shaken? And one team will fight for shake hands up and down, and the other team is fighting for shake hands side to side. It's an amusing and purely aesthetic detail to Boreal Blade, but the resulting win will exclaim, "Hands should be shaken up and down," if that team won. I tried to host a custom game for our play session where the debate was which Star Wars films are better, the prequels or the sequels. But there's plenty of cute customizations which could be fun, even if it was just which is worse, wet handshakes or cold handshakes. It's the little things in life which make life worth living. After a debate is concluded, you'll gain experience to level up. When you level up, you'll unlock new weapons, armor, and character cosmetics. On Steam, that means I get a notification and get all excited thinking something interesting's happened, only to realize it's just the 3 things I opened in the game, and have now been put in my Steam inventory. The groundwork was here for a really fun game, and I did enjoy playing it with my local friend group. Just a pity that's the only experience to be had anymore playing Boreal Blade. One of the things I've read online is people having connectivity issues while playing Boreal Blade. When I first bought the game for myself, and then realized I couldn't play by myself, so then I picked up a second copy for my wife, we tested to see if it worked over the internet when we were in the same house. And it worked just fine. So I picked up a couple copies for my brothers, and there weren't any connectivity problems encountered for any of us. So I can't say Boreal Blade will work just fine if you're playing with a friend on the other side of the world. Considering your game on PC is being hosted locally, you'd likely run into problems playing with someone who is geographically farther away from you. I also don't know how the game works on the Switch, but how often have any of you experienced remarkably good internet connections from Nintendo? Besides, if you're trying to pick up Boreal Blade as inexpensively as possible, probably stick to PC for those sweet 90% off sales in the winter and summer. In conclusion, yet another lovely game with great potential and seemingly abandoned, left to collect dust by the wayside. Boreal Blade was an interesting game to play. It's nice to have in the library if any of us want to play a melee Viking fighting game, but that's about it. Maybe we'll go back to play it on a whim, but probably not. It's pretty easy to pick up a copy of Boreal Blade on a Steam sale, but just so you know, you'll be grabbing some extra copies of the game for any friends or family if you want to play the game with anybody. If Boreal Blade has piqued your interest, feel free to check it out. It doesn't have the player base or capacity to hold people's interests like Chivalry or For Honor has. Like I said, the community is basically dead. But we can always hope interest in an indie game will pick back up and we'll see a revitalization. Regardless, hopefully I've done this game justice in explaining what you can do if you do decide to pick it up. We did play for roughly 3 hours, and if you get hooked, you could play for much longer. Either way, not bad for a game I spent only a couple dollars on. Thanks for watching, my name is Atratzu, and I will see you in another review.